to open up gender and, yes, genital examinations into little girls in this country.
Republicans just passed extremely common sense legislation, and some Democrats are losing it and spreading wild conspiracies. And now, we gotta check in on our politics because it's an absolute crap show right now. Republicans just passed a bill in the House called the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act of 2025. Very simply, it just seeks to, quote, amend the Education Amendments of 1972 to provide that for purposes of determining compliance with Title IX of such act in athletics, sex shall be recognized based solely on a person's reproductive biology and genetics at birth. Translation. In public school sports and sports that are bound by Title IX, existing federal law ensuring equal opportunity for women and girls, women's sports will be limited only to biological females, not trans athletes, not trans women who are born biologically male. If you followed my channel for any time, you know that I support this position in general. I think it's common sense that sports need to be segregated by biology, not identity, and that that's necessary in order to preserve basic fairness and safety for women and girls in women's sports. But from the way that Democrats in Congress are talking about this legislation, or at least some of them, a few moderate Democrats have put out semi-nuanced statements, but the true progressives out there are losing it over this. They are melting down and spreading some of the most hyperbolic, insane, conspiratorial nonsense I've seen in some time, and that's saying something when it comes to Congress. Here are a few of my favorite moments from the floor debate over this legislation, featuring Congresswomen Ayanna Pressley, Rashida Tlaib, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Madam Speaker, this bill not only erodes federal protections for our kids, it puts the physical and emotional safety of every child in our public schools at risk. Imagine you are 8 years old, trying out for the soccer team, and your coach demands that you show them your genitals. You are putting the safety of children across this nation at risk. And why? Because you want to vilify and harm trans kids.
Today, Republicans brought to the floor a bill that categorically bans transgender girls from school sports.
Now want to pretend today that they care about women. And why? To open up gender and, yes, genital examinations into little girls in this country in the so-called name of attacking trans girls. The majority right now says there's no place in this bill that says it opens up for genital examinations. Well, here's the thing. There's no enforcement mechanism in this bill. And when there is no enforcement mechanism, you open the door to every enforcement mechanism. Trans girls are girls. I don't know about y'all. I don't know who's been to gym class lately, but girls, even if you only believe in two genders, I've played co-ed sports all the time. I know who loves this bill. Yes, bigoted folks love this bill. Assaulters love this bill.
You hear that? If you agree with this bill, if you think sports should be separated by biology, not identity, you are a bigot, a predator, or an assaulter, according to AOC. Girl, give me a break. And I want to point out one quick fact check on one of the things that was said here that is objectively untrue. Actually, a bunch of things that were said here are objectively untrue, but I guess we have to take them one at a time. So what the second Congresswoman there said was that this bill bans trans girls from school sports. That's a lie. That's factually incorrect. It bans trans girls from female sports. They're still able to participate in male sports, as they are technically biologically male. They're not banned from all school sports. That's not true. But you see that framing a lot from people who disagree with this kind of thing. Ban trans kids from sports. No one's banning them from sports. In fact, I read this bill. It's only one page. It's not complicated. And from what I can tell, trans boys who are biologically female would still potentially be allowed to participate in boys' sports, which I've never had much of an issue with because they're only putting themselves at a competitive disadvantage. So if they want to play with the boys and they can make the team, doesn't bother me. I've always said that's fine. This bill doesn't even ban that. So it's not just about targeting trans kids. It is about ensuring fairness and safety in women's sports. That's important, that's valid, and it's not bigoted or hateful. And then the whole thing about genital inspections is insane, blue anon, conspiratorial nonsense. Nothing in this bill authorizes coaches or school officials to inspect students' genitals. In reality, anybody who played school sports knows that you have to get a physical and submit a physical from a doctor in order to participate in almost all states in official school sports. And during a physical, your doctor will, in many cases, inspect your genitals. It's part of a well check visit. It's a normal part of a physical, and they will be able to ascertain your biological sex. It is not some profound mystery. There's like a tiny, tiny, tiny decimal point of people who are intersex or have some true issue of abnormal sexual development that makes it hard to classify them. But that is not really the cases we're talking about here. They can ascertain student sex from their physicals. It's not that hard, and it doesn't mean that coaches will be able to willy-nilly demand a peep show. Like, this is just absurd nonsense with no basis in reality, and even AOC admits it's not in the bill. So how they're just so comfortable spreading alarmism that's simply not true, casting aspersions at their political opponents as if they're all predators and assaulters, which, by the way, is the same thing they complain about Republicans doing, calling everyone groomers, which I do think some people on the right throw that around far too loosely, given what a serious charge it is, but they're doing the same thing now. And so the only standards they seem to have are double standards. And I'm sorry, but they are on the record opposing what is common sense to most people, which is the need to separate sports by biology, not identity. I mean, look, guys, I'll roll you just one clip of so many clips of a trans girl, so a biologically male student athlete, participating in girls' school sports and just dominating the competition in a way that's frankly hard to watch and obviously not fair. Here's a clip from a high school basketball game recently where a biologically male student is just destroying the female competitors. There really is a strong strain of science denialism in the progressive dissent from this common sense legislation. I mean, look at AOC saying trans girls are girls. Okay, they're not females. They're not biological females. That's kind of the point. That's why they're trans girls and not just girls. Like, we all know this, but you're denying it. And then you're saying, well, I've played co-ed sports. Okay, then according to that logic, we should just abolish the sex distinction. Just have one basketball team. See who makes it. Newsflash, it will be all males. It will be all boys because they have stronger upper body strength. They can jump higher and they're taller and they're more physical. Like, it, almost all boys. Some girls once in a while may just have so much skill that they could hang with the boys, but you would be taking away opportunities for really important developmental and social opportunities for young girls and things that lead to scholarships and, you know, college level athletic opportunities. It's just, it exists for a reason. And you do need that biological separation. But the Democratic Party, only 2 Democrats voted for this legislation in the House. The Democratic Party is officially on the side of Delulu. And the American public is not with them on this and thinks that they look crazy when they talk like this and act like this about an issue that frankly should be common sense. For what it's worth, this legislation is unlikely to become law in the immediate future. It would still have to pass the Senate, and I don't think it will receive the 60 vote threshold it would need to. So we don't actually have to worry about the immediate ramifications of this bill becoming law. But I do think it tells you something about where the parties are at right now. And for the Democrats, it's telling us something not good.